In partnership with the community and with the focus on equity.
Read the mission statement.
Yeah, we'll challenge every student by providing a quality instructional program in a positive, safe, and stimulating environment. The district will meet the diverse needs of all students by ensuring exceptional learning opportunities to acquire and apply the knowledge and skills that develop the insight and character necessary for a productive and rewarding life. Call to order. Silver Grove Unified School District Board Meeting of Education. Regular meeting Thursday, November 10th. Roll call, please.
Advisory Ray Avila. President Dawson is absent. Vice President Rivera.
Here.
Trustee Pat.
Here.
Trustee Brian Swanson.
Here.
Trustee Carolyn Swanson.
Here.
Mr. President, if I may, I was just asked to just relay regards from President Dawson. She was diagnosed with pneumonia today, and she's very ill. So she went to the doctor, got diagnosed, got medication, and is now home where she should be comfortably resting. So, but she asked me to relay her regards and regrets not to be able to be here tonight.
Thank you. And we all wish her speedy recovery. Adoption of the agenda.
Any changes?
Any changes?
I've got none.
We have, I'm just going to go through the list real quick. You know what, I should also advise, Mr. President, if I may, you do need to designate a clerk for the meeting so that if there's any forms that need to be signed or noted, that they're on the record that the board had selected a clerk for the evening.
Sure.
I nominate Brian since he's already in the clerk seat. You accept that, Brian?
Yes, I would accept that nomination.
Do we need to vote on that or is that's done?
You do need to take action on it, yeah.
Second. Roll call. Actually, we don't need to do.
Don't need a roll call.
No
'cause
roll
there's-
call, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks.
That's a relief.
And so,
I think it's
as to your
ceremonial
previous
tonight.
question, Mr. President, we do have a revised consent A. We added student representative comments. It was noted that in the minutes that their student comments were not noted. So they have been now noted, and you received an updated copy, and there's, I think, one in your blue folder as well, and that will be noted on the web. And then on action discussion B, just as a notation, the bottom of that page on 38 says revised and approved date. The revised and approved date has been corrected. It should read November 10, 2022, not 2002. Lost a few years there, so it's just a typo.
I'll move to approve as revised.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Public comment on the agenda? Nope. Need a motion to approve the agenda?
Just had it. We just did.
Oh,
it.
okay.
We skipped a step, but it's okay to go back.
Well, thank goodness I only have to do this twice. So closed session, as you guys, as the public was notified, there was no advancement on any of the items in closed session, so we did not have it. So there's nothing to report out on our closed session. So we'll move forward with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Apple, would you like to lead us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation.
On to written communications. So I received several updates from the district, including an awareness of the earthquake that was very timely because I know my child just practiced their drop, cover, and hold a few days before. Another parent concerned about the location of the Forest Grove winter program. An update on PGUSD's testing data and how it exceeded the state averages. Very, very exciting on that one. Community members concerned about the wireless radiation in this room. A reminder of the homecoming football game. Community member asking about the fentanyl town hall. notice of results from Wonder Wolf. Community member concerns about the traffic between Robert Down and the community center. And, oh yeah, being asked to delay our discussion on the skate park until the community has time to respond to a survey that's going to be going out very soon. And a parent asking for shade at Forest Grove during snack time. And then an invitation about from Councilmember Paduria about the Sunset Drive Congress Avenue Workshop Series. And then a parent asking about volunteers that are not vaccinated. That's all I have.
Along with 210 pieces of other spam on.
I have
construction.
two more. Sorry, John, did you have any to add?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I had one from a back to school legal update from Lozano Smith and a thank you email from MPC's president Zakovic.
No, that's it. You more than I had, so.
Yeah, in fact, I noticed that in the 18 months of service, I had 2,885 so far to date.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to board member comments. Why don't we start over with trustee Carolyn this time?
Okay, thank you. A couple of things. I was able to and honored to attend the November 5th park party that the district put on. Thank you to the leads on that, which I believe are Buck and Ralph and also Stephanie and Josh and who else did I see there? Sean Keller and Principal Irene. And if I'm forgetting anyone, I'm sorry.
Director Binder was there. and-
Director Binder, yes, thank you. And about 50, I want to say, members of the public, families, et cetera, and the delicious lunch that was provided. And I just really want to encourage and share my support for events like that. I think those one-to-one relationships we can start building one layer at a time are priceless. So thank you so much for putting your time and sharing your Saturday for schoolwork, right? So thank you. And then I have two other comments. One is a congratulations to the inaugural water polo team. We had 4 years ago, a very passionate, talented group of people begin our water polo program. And I wrote down a couple notes here. In 2019, they won one game. In 2020, it was COVID, so they really only were able to do conditioning. In 2021, they won the division. And in 2022, the division was restructured, and so they took third place. And it appears that 12 of the current seniors, 12 of the seniors that are on the team are part of the inaugural team still. So it's really great. And I wanted to say specifically a thank you to Coach Casey Lyons, Coach Greg Enterline, Coach Brent Jones, and water polo volunteer Jared Payan. So I'm looking forward to going to more of those games. They're actually really fun to watch. And my last comment is a really positive one as well. And I got a notice that it wasn't to my board email, so I didn't mention it in the written communications, but locally, the PG High School graduate class of 1982, Carrie Broker, whose maiden name is Miller, is the executive director of Peace of Mind Dog Rescue in town, which I think we've probably all heard of. It's lovely. She's been nominated as one of 10 heroes by CNN. So just that nomination in itself has brought $10,000 into that nonprofit. And if she gets the most votes in this contest, she will bring another $100,000 to the nonprofit that really saves a lot of dogs and saves and really gives peace of mind to a lot of seniors and disabled folks. So those are my comments.
Mr. Avila.
So last time we had a meeting here, we were gearing up for homecoming. So we had our homecoming dance and everything like that. We had our homecoming game. The score, the outcome of the game wasn't exactly what we wanted, but I know all of my teammates, myself included, had such a fun time. I really couldn't have asked for a better group of people to play with, coaching staff. So really positive outlook on the season that we had. Same thing with the water polo team. I know super proud of all my friends on that team. I know personally every single kid on that team, all of which also were on the inaugural team. So I know they were all super happy and super sad to see water polo left behind, but there's also a club team that plays in the winter. So a lot of them are playing on that. An impressive season from also our tennis team, cross country team. And I know just everybody had a fun time this fall. And with that being said, fall sports are all done at PG. So we're knee deep in the winter season, basketball going on, wrestling and soccer. So I've been at basketball every day. And then as my practice is cooling down, the varsity girls are warming up. So they take over the gym at 5:30. And then as I'm walking out, I see the wrestling guys practicing in the small gym. And on my drive home, I'm seeing the boys and girls soccer team. So it's cool to see everybody gearing up for the winter action. So that should be fun. And as far as things going on at the school, on Monday, we have our Ruby Bridges walk to school and kind of like a spirit day. So we encourage everybody to wear as much purple as they can. We gave out bracelets and beanies for students to wear. And we encourage everyone to walk to school that day. I myself will be walking, so hopefully as many people as possible will also be walking. And that's about it.
I'll go next. So I was looking at my calendar and the ELAC at the Caledonia Park, that was after our last board meeting, I guess. I feel like so much has happened since then. So that was a lot of fun, the joint ELAC picnic that happened between Robert Down and Forest Grove. A good attendance. In fact, they had I think there was had to go for more coffee. And my children certainly enjoyed the donuts and mingling with the other people there. Good attendance from the district. Thank you all that was there. Thank you for both Miss Smallwood and Miss, I keep on calling her by her married name, who she hasn't, so Cafarata is her official name. Thank you for putting that on. I think that, I hope that happens many more times. I think that was the first time that happened. Also, it was great to see Congressman Panetta, who is at our high school, and thank you for letting us know about that. Just listening to his story, I felt like mine was very similar. Not that I'm anywhere near, what Congressman Panetta has achieved, but it was just wonderful how he just showed up and was able to describe what he actually does, which I don't know if a lot of people could say that, that follow politics. So it was really nice for him to describe, his job and then to just encourage our students. And it was wonderful. Also, Dia de los Muertos was celebrated. I was at the Robert Down dance that happened, and that was beautiful. One of the parents came and did a traditional Mexican folk dance. It was wonderful. She asked if any students were interested in learning, and I was surprised to see a majority of the students raise their hand. So I would encourage Principal Keller to look into that. It's possible an enrichment program. Then also there was an ofrenda inside of the cafeteria, and that was beautiful to see people to come and display their lost loved ones. And I know that I got to see my father up there. My children brought a picture of him and put him up there. So that was kind of nice to see. And then right afterward, I was invited to a going away party for Mr. Kyle. Sorry, I have a lot to say. There's a lot that has happened. He's one of the paras at Robert Down that is moving on. So it was sad to see him go. He was well liked, but thank you for your service. And then finally, I wanted to congratulate Miss Laura Ottmeyer for her win. She technically received the largest amount of votes at this past election, so that's something to be proud of. I contacted her earlier today to let her know, to give her my congratulations. So I just wanted to do that publicly as well. And that's all I have.
Thanks. Frank, congratulations to the new board members, Laura, Jen, Elliot, and I want to suggest that the at-large, I mean, I think this is the first time we've seen what the results of an at-large versus by district election looks like. And I think it is exactly as, we discussed and it's really hard. I think we'd be better off if we could have stayed the other way. I think we could not. And this is not a reflection of Ms. Otmar, and congratulations to her. But the overall, I think we would end up with, one of the things he sold us on was, okay, you'll have more choices, but in fact, clearly choosing 3 out of 4 versus 1 out of 2 is it's probably better 3 out of 4, even if we were there. Anyway, we can't go backwards, and that's how it is. So congratulations. And Frank, the district has been better with you here. So and Laura, I welcome you and wish you the best of luck here. There is a couple interesting things going on. Even as we speak, there's a review of and a walkthrough and then more meeting on Highway 68. And there was a master plan on 68 any number of years ago and trying to change the intersection. So I encourage everybody to pay attention to how that's going to go. One option is a roundabout there. Anyone who has to drive over the highway knows that roundabout at the entrance to Pebble Beach has been a godsend compared to the traffic light. So I'm kind of thinking that's probably a good plan. The earthquake information was timely and that was interesting. Also, I appreciate the update on a car fire, which I would say in 14 years is the first time anyone has ever said that in the district. And that was, I'm appreciative that SRO Hanks was there and that was put out. What an oddity. Okay. The park meet and greet was great. Thank you all for being there. It was really nice to see everybody in a less formal session. There is a veterans celebration tomorrow at Lovers Point for those of you who are available and would like to go down and enjoy. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So, right.
A good amount's been covered. I think it is worth noting. First of all, again, welcome to the oncoming, new board members. It is interesting to see what we went through in this trustee by area thing that and again, no disrespect to the people that are coming on because they're qualified and they're great. We just became a little more white, actually completely. So for whatever that's worth, it's like, I think that works in LA Unified and maybe it doesn't work here. All that said, props to the high school for hosting the polling place where I was on Tuesday, where we had a fire and which was amazing, and trying to conduct a polling place while there's a fire burning in the parking lot's amazing, and it still went off without a hitch. So thank you for that. And I got to say too, it's like that entire process, and that's a long day, right? It's like that's from 6 a.m. We were there from 6 a.m. to 9:30 in the evening. Is remarkable to see the variety of people that come through there and the variety of people that are there working with you. I mean, those are the people that I was there with. They're amazing and diverse. I would have liked to have seen more men because I think I actually know I was the only guy among 9 people there. So it'd be nice to see more men show up for that, but it was great. Just to see people come in and participate in what we were doing. And I remember when this first came up as a board item a couple of years ago, is because the county was asking us for a place to do it. And how do we do that with people coming in and onto our campus that we know aren't usually coming there? How do we deal with that? But we dealt with it really well. And so I think it was a good thing all in all. And I'm glad that we made sure that we had a place for that to happen. So one other thing, Ray, how many positions do you play? Because I was at the St. Francis game, and I will have to say I'm a bit of a fair weather fan. I didn't stay to the bitter end, but the game against St. Francis was like, are you on every play?
I'm on most of them.
Most of them. remarkable, and props to everybody, those who played, those who were on the field and those who were not, and the coaches. That was a great game. I wish the concession line was shorter because all I wanted was a Diet Coke and some red vines, and it took like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but we can talk about that later. But props to you and everybody who played and who was on the field and not, because that was a really great night.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you
So-
for coming.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. There's just a few items tonight, but I want to make sure I covered a couple things. First off, I want to thank the school sites for some really wonderful Veteran Day celebrations and presentations that happened today. I know that we kind of sort of divide and conquered our presence. I was over at Robert Down and had an opportunity to watch the presentation there. Principal Keller and your team, thank you so much. We had some of our veterans honored at the front of the auditorium there as well. And then a slideshow presentation honoring different parents or grandparents or relatives who are veterans, and just a really wonderful ceremony. And I think, as with Principal Keller, got kind of emotional when you think about, like my father was a veteran, and to watch what was happening was really special. The middle school also did a fantastic job. And I think Bryce Gamble and Principal Roach put together a wonderful slideshow as well. And that was great to see. And Forest Grove, I know, had their celebration, and as did the high school. So anyway, props to the sites for doing that. And I think that poignantly, as Principal Roach mentioned, it would be very important for all of our students and our families to do their best to take some time tomorrow to remember and honor our veterans. It's not just a day off. It's intended to be a day of celebration and remembrance. And so hopefully a few folks will have an opportunity to do that. As was mentioned by Ray, our Ruby Bridges Day is being celebrated on Monday by all of our sites in some fashion or another. So wonderful to see that happening, and looking forward to those events. Also, as was mentioned, Park Party went off great, and really just of all kudos, especially to Director Rogeman, took a lot of time to behind the scenes to really get that rolling and get it going. And just a wonderful presentation there. I also want to just make a note that Angela Lippert, from the Human Resource Department, was also there representing HR, and she had put out all of the job postings that we had in there a lot. When you start looking at all the folders that were laid out on all those tables. And she was there helping to recruit from the parents that were showing and saying, here's some opportunities if you want to work with the district. We had a lot of folks pick up packets and descriptions and take a look at those. And I thought, aside from just the presence of our families and parents, it was also nice to see, is there possibly a connection we can make with our families in regards to employment? So I thought that was really nice. And we hope to do other events like that in the future. It was kind of the first time, and it worked off really well. So thanks to all the admin team and staff that were there. I'm not sure, I think you mentioned this, Trustee Paff, but we do have one of our administrators this evening represented on the City Traffic Commission Five Corners survey. There's 3 meetings happening. There's a meeting tonight, and they're actually like 2 hours of standing on the corner, watching all the cars go by. Kind of, I guess, clicking numbers of cars to see how the traffic is looking and what alternatives might be available, and see what we can do to make it safer. But she's representing the district to give our perspective as well, and see what might come of that. And last but not least, I also want to congratulate, we now have our slate of trustees coming in for the new year, beginning on the December meeting. So congratulations to Dr. Hazen, Jennifer McNary, and Laura Otmar, who have filled out the slates that were up for renewal. And really looking forward to having everyone coming on board. And we'll have an opportunity to thank our outgoing board members in a couple of meetings. But just obviously, thank you so much for the gift that you give of yourselves to the district. It's just remarkable. And as we always say, the role of trustee is just that. We entrust our future posterity through our students in your leadership. And thank you for that. It's a big role. So we'll look forward to also seeing our folks at CSBA. This is the first time that I can recall that all of our trustees will be going to the California School Board Association training, which I think is wonderful. And so an opportunity to go to some of the workshops there, get a chance to have a little fellowship together and talk a little bit about just leadership in general. And we'll have an opportunity to do that in December, and that will be before the organizational meeting that happens here. So I think we've confirmed with everyone, and looking forward to that. I think it'll be great. So lots happening, and I'll defer the rest to the agenda. Thank you, Mr. President.
We're on to PGUSD staff comments on non-agenda items.
Good evening, Board. Sean Keller, Principal at Robert Down Elementary School. Thank you, Dr. Porras, for coming to the Veterans Celebration today. Also for active members, obviously. And again, I also would like to thank Bryce Gamble, who's always answered my call. I hope he never blocks my number because he's always been there for me. I don't have the AV experience he does, and he always makes it into a video and adds music, and I just love him for that. So thank you, Bryce Campbell. We are also celebrating Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. I want to thank Heloisa Hinquera for bringing that to our school, and we will be having the kids collect at around 8 o'clock on Monday morning, and then we'll have a presentation by Heather Zunguzi in the auditorium later on. And then we have a dine out before next week's board meeting on the 16th on Wednesday night, and it is at Islands over at the mall. So please join us. It's for dinner only. Thank you.
Lito Garcia, principal at all of our high schools. So as been mentioned earlier, yes, we did have a fire in our lower parking lot, and I do want to send a big, huge thanks to Officer Hanks, who was our first person to respond, and we got a fire extinguisher in his hand, and he did a great job of slowing down the fire before the fire department arrived. We also want to thank our campus supervisor, Ginny Rogeman. She also assisted in keeping the area secure, and also our PE teacher, John Martin, who ran into the PE building to grab the fire extinguisher to pass off to Officer Hank. So it was a big team effort. Very thankful that no one was injured. Unfortunately, student did lose his car, but again, the most important piece is nobody was hurt. And Mr. Path, 29 years in education, and this is the first. So it's going into the book when I'm retired and write it. So, all right. Thank you.
Mr. El-Ghazi. Mr. Lux. Knox.
Hi there. It's actually Jill Houston. My phone just didn't update 1,000 years ago. I'm the work in the office at the high school. I tried to get one of the football players to come and read this for us, but they were a little nervous to appear before you. And I understand that now because I'm nervous reading it. So I'm just going to read it. We all know when we tune in as adults or attend the board meetings that the meetings may go long and that some of the topics may be super nuanced. But for a student to sign on to that, oh, wow. I'm not sure if you guys know, but our varsity football team gathers every single week before they play on Fridays, on Thursdays for a team dinner. And there's about half the time one player missing. As a parent and staff member, I just want to really embarrass right now and give a shout out to Ray Avila. Ray downplays, as Trustee Swanson said, his contribution to every team he's a part of, but in particular, the football team. He was such an integral part of the team, and he gave up attending those team dinners as a senior to be at the board meetings. So on behalf of the team, the staff, and our community, hey, thanks, Ray. And we look forward to seeing you on the basketball court.
Mr. Roach.
Good evening, everyone. Sean Roach, proud principal of Pacific Grove Middle School. I will echo what the previous caller said about Ray. He's a wonderful person. Miss him from middle school and can't wait to see him on the basketball court. I just wanted to laud Doctors Hazen and Rivera. Both of these gentlemen came and spoke to our AVID classes about and shared their stories about where you guys came from, what made you what you are today, the hurdles you faced, the successes. It was truly inspirational. So I wanted to give you both kudos for inspiring not only our students who not necessarily see themselves going to college yet, but also inspiring young scientists of tomorrow. As Ray mentioned, we're in winter sports now. I just wanted to relay the fact that it was a really wonderful season for our soccer, for our boys and girls soccer, our cross country team. placed very well in the championships. Our boys volleyball placed third in the district. Our 8th grade girls finished second in a 3-set match that went 18-15 in the third, and our 7th grade girls, who are the champions. One more thing, we are going to be previewing for our students the movie Upstanders coming up on Friday, assembly schedule. And that really focuses on healthy relationships and how to be an upstander when you're faced with bullying. So we will definitely update folks, and we're really looking for a lot of participation. Thank you guys very much. Take care.
Ms. Davies.
Good evening, board. Let me see if I can get my video up, but I guess not. I'd like to do kudos tonight. Our adult transition program were able to have their annual butterfly dance this year on October 28th. We haven't been able to do that for a couple of years. They combined it with Halloween, so all the students and staff came dressed in costumes. I'd like to thank Barbara Martinez for hosting the use of the meadow at the adult school. And so what is the annual butterfly dance? This is a dance for all the adult transition programs across Monterey County that are able to join us. And so we had really great participation this year. Of course, our high school class and our adult transition program, North Monterey County, PGUSD, Salinas High School District, and Without Walls, the program at the adult school. So there were over 100 people, food and dance and fellowship, and also tours down to the Monarch Sanctuary. I want to thank Lorraine Gonzalez, the special education teacher who coordinated this event, along with the paraprofessionals, Fernando Hernandez, Vanessa Villapanda, Joelle Hefner, and Kyle Neely. Thank you. And we'll have another dance at the end of the year when we have the graduation. So thank you so much to the team.
Okay, thank you all. Moving on to individuals desiring to address the board. Public comment on any item of interest to the public that is within the board's jurisdiction will be heard. The board will also take public comment on each specific action item prior to the board action on each item. The board will allow a reasonable amount of time for public comment on each agenda item, not to exceed 3 minutes per speaker and no more than 20 minutes per agenda item, pursuant to Board Policy 9323. Speakers will be called sequentially until there is no speaker coming forward on the agenda item, or the amount of time allocated for the agenda item has elapsed, whichever comes first. This meeting of the Board of Education is a business meeting of the board conducted in public. Please note that the Brown Act limits the board's ability to respond to public comment. The board may choose to direct items to the administration for action or place an item on a future agenda.
Good evening. I am Dr. Tom Moore. As some of you know, I am president of the Monterey Peninsula Soccer League, and we help manage a fundraising program that the soccer coaches do for the high school girls and boys soccer teams. We've had to take a little time off due to the pandemic in the recent years, as many of you are well aware. We did come back at the beginning of the year with a long season and a few more teams than we had previously had in previous seasons. So I don't want to get your hopes up for future visits I make here, but I would like to present 2 checks. The first to the boys soccer team for $5,100 and a second one to the girls soccer team for $5,100. Principal here, I'd love to give them to him. And I'll just note, we've been doing this program since 2012. We appreciate the support of the school board and the principals.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your support.
Absolutely. And just a little totalizing report. Since 2012, we raised $111,138.77 for those programs. So the community appreciates this. There's lots of over 30 men and over 18 women getting some exercise. Your facility is getting good use on Sundays. I'd like to think, but I'm sure superintendent can hopefully confirm that we're taking good care of it and plan on doing so into the future with your approval. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. And a fun way to get some exercise.
All school board members are welcome to come join, or we'll take one back anytime he wants to come.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you all.
Can I ask one question only? Is that, so, and this is what is happening at the middle school or at the high school?
The high school in the stadium, predominantly on Sundays.
Yeah, okay. I mean, when I drive by, and sometimes because I live right across from middle school, and my girls, when they were still at home, would say, it's like, oh, it's, you know, they would see what was happening at the middle school field, or we'd drive by the high school and they would say, it's like, oh, it's old dude soccer day, or it's you know, or it's, you know, middle-aged soccer dude day or whatever. But I think it's remarkable again, and the financial support is obviously appreciated, but just the community support is astounding. So thank you, and to everybody who participates in that. It's really it demonstrates so fully what community is all about. So thank you so much for
And
that.
Brian, I just briefly, on a Sunday game that's playing at the middle school or on a Wednesday night, the age range has been, and I have played with a team that has Mario on it, who is 72, or probably now 74. Oh my gosh. And still has moves, man, you know, and people who are 7. So the gambit is all the way up. It's, you know, 70 years of people, and the old guys watch out for the kids, and it is a really cool thing.
Yeah,
So it's
it's
been very
awesome. It's
And
really, really great.
We very much appreciate the fact, one issue that we've always had organizing in a small community with 5 cities is that some cities with their facilities take a bit of a parochial view of serving folks outside, but it's real hard to put together 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 12 teams from just one city. So the fact that you're open to folks, I live in Marina, the fact that you're open to folks from outside is very much appreciated by the community. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much.
See you next year.
Next year.
See you next year.
Anyone online? No? Okay, quick.
Great one.
That was quick. Moving on. Yeah, moving on to consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and or may have been discussed at previous board meetings. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board requests specific items be discussed and are removed from the consent agenda. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. Board comments or questions?
None for me.
I have nothing on. I have a question that I'll ask sometime later.
Public comment on consent agenda items? No, could I get a motion to?
I'll
approve?
move to approve consent as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Action discussion. First one, the district update on response to COVID-19. Dr. Porras.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, not too much to report tonight. Again, we're grateful for all of the work that our entire staff do to help keep our students safe and each other safe. I did check in with Nurse Powley briefly. First off, just in regards to looking over at the county numbers, a little bit of an uptick in the general community. Positivity numbers, percentages are increasing a little bit, as are the case rates, although below the thresholds that the board had established in the past, 4.3% positivity and 4.2 per 100K. So below those thresholds, but still going up a little bit. However, as Nurse Pally noted, while we're seeing those cases increasing in the community, our total active cases within the district are decreasing. And that's good news. So we're updating the dashboard as often as we can. I think every day, actually, I see communications from Nurse Pally to Director Algaze as they update the dashboard. So that's always available for the public to see. And that's good news. We are keeping a close eye. We know that there's a flu already definitely hitting out there. And there's also some, I think, children-specific COVID symptoms happening in terms of respiratory out in our community. But thus far, knock on wood, things are going well. And again, thank you to all the staff and the community members for helping to do the best we can to keep our students safe. Let's see here. Community testing is going to continue as usual. And so we'll have our next testing happening on Monday, this next week. And so just wanted to know that that's still happening. And also that we've acquired enough, we already have enough home test kits that will be available for our students to take home prior to the winter break so that they can test before coming back to school when school resumes in January. So those will be distributed at all of our sites, including the preschool sites and the adult school. So those are available also as well. And last but not least, the COVID safety plan we'll continue to update that as we can, or when we hear more notices coming from the state. We will be updating that plan when the final, as the emergency has been lifted and there's a deadline date for that to be finalized. It's notable that the COVID safety plan is no longer required after that, since it was part of the emergency plans laid down by the governor. However, we're tending to it up until that time, and the board can give any other further directions when we get there regarding any potential local action that the board would like to take that's permissible by the state. That's all I have for you tonight.
Okay, board comments, Trustee Bryan. would
Well,
like to
that
start?
deadline is mid to late February, is that right?
That's correct. 28.
Feb 28. Okay, great. That's all.
No comments. Thank you.
No comments from me.
None for me, Ray, nothing?
Yeah, I've noticed a increase in emails received from Nurse Pally just about gives a COVID update in AP Gov or a COVID update in strength and conditioning. So, but I'm glad that we're getting notified with everything. It makes myself, makes my parents, and I'm sure other parents as well feel that much safer. So thankful for that.
Public comment. Okay. And then no action required. So moving on to action discussion item B, revised job description for the classified position of instructional assistant to include instructional assistants in the culinary program classroom. Director Mankey.
Hi, good evening. Billy Mankey, HR Director for the district. And this item we're bringing forward to include culinary items. We know that the culinary program at the high school has grown, and it warrants another person in the classroom to continue the work in that program. We are recommending to the board a classified instructional assistant, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, 180-day work calendar, which is when students are in school. And the item itself is the typical instructional assistant position, and we added the culinary pieces to it. We recommend this to the board and hope you approve this and tonight or give us direction.
Wonderful. Board comments. We'll start with Trustee Path this time.
No comments, except congratulations to the high school and to Ms. Erickson on continuing the program. And frankly, we updated that room very significantly with bond money, and greatly appreciate the community support in allowing us to do that and continue to build this. So no comments on this at all. Thank you very well. Beyond that, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to also congratulate that program. I've mentioned a couple of times as MPC faculty how much our culinary program, our hospitality program there has just raved about that program here. So that's fantastic. I do have a question about the job description. And through some of the conferences I went to, it was suggested that one little trick to increase diversity among the faculty would be to add on any job description as a desirable qualification to be bilingual.
Would, and I understand that we do have that on all our job postings.
Okay.
If you would like it in the job description itself, I was thinking where we would add it, but typically that's where we put it, is on the actual job flyer, the posting.
Okay.
Do you know if they meant the actual job description?
Oh, I don't know. This was just at a breakout session and
Okay.
one
We
of the
did go back, Dr. Porras came to us with this request, and we did go
Okay.
back to the positions that are currently posted
Okay.
and added that to all of those as well. And then
Fantastic.
our new
Thank you.
ones will too.
Thank you. Fantastic. Fantastic. Great. Mr. Avila.
Yeah, it's a really impressive program, the culinary. I personally don't take it, but I know many people who do. And I've heard nothing but great things about it. And I'm thankful for it because my best friend takes culinary, and oftentimes when I'm coming out of strength, I come and steal his food, and they make very, very good food.
Very good.
So yeah, very, very impressed with the program. Glad that it's only getting better from here.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear about the process of involving the culinary teacher and making sure that the job description reflects their needs. So were
And
they involved in this?
I can defer to Assistant Principal Shane Steinbeck, who is actually on this item and assisted with it in that area.
Shane Steinbeck, assistant principal at the high school. This actually, in many ways, originated from Miss Erickson, and she and I together actually produced, I'd say, close to 90% of the job description together.
Excellent. Thank you.
Just great. I love that it's grown. The program has grown to this point that it needs another person. And I hear people just around the community talking about the program and how much they love it. And I've seen what's created there. So, I mean, how can you not support it? It's absolutely great. Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing it.
Public comments?
Make a motion, we accept the job description as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Most important vote.
Thank you. Student advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Path. Moving on to action discussion C.
Mr. President, if you would, just, it would be helpful for the record, if you would, at the end of the vote, just announce the vote, motion passes, and announce the vote so that we can have it on the record.
Okay, so motion passes 4-0. That's right, we are down one. Action discussion C. This is the out of county or overnight activities presented by Mr. Zorn. If we need one. Does
No questions.
no comment on mine. Student advisory, question, comments? Trustee Carolyn?
All good here.
We're all good. We're all good. Public comment?
I'll move to approve as presented.
Second.
Carolyn.
Moved by trustee Brian, seconded by trustee Carolyn. Student advisory vote.
Aye.
Trustees vote.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Okay. Moving on, this is going quite swiftly. Action discussion D, retroactive salary schedule amendments for the fiscal year 15-16 through fiscal year 22-23. Again, Mr. Jorn, would any of the trustees like a presentation on this?
I have a question on it.
Mr. Path?
Yeah, I would like a presentation on it.
Okay, Mr. Jorn.
And in no way does this affect my job. Right, so thank you for that this evening. So in a compliance audit through CalPERS, we were contacted when calculating my predecessor's retirement benefits, and it was a normal compliance audit, something that most likely would have been done to predecessors prior to my predecessor. And it came up that the district did not have the assistant superintendent's salary on a salary schedule all the way back to 2001. And we did check with legal counsel, and this is a requirement. It's a more recent requirement, but we did need to post back 7 years based on record retention policy. So that's what I'm presenting tonight, a salary schedule from 2015-16 up through current, with the contracted salary of the assistant superintendent on there, so that the benefits can be calculated correctly for my predecessor, and hopefully no more compliance audits for anyone prior to her. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Trustee Brian.
No questions. Thank you.
Trustee Path.
There's a line on every one of these which says, in addition to other compensation, each full-time management employee who is enrolled in the district medical, dental, and vision shall have their annual compensation increased by the amount of this payment. We are not paying $28,000 over and above for anybody. This statement, could you explain that further for me, please? It's on all 7 of them. It's the same statement. And if we don't approve this, does this mean Song doesn't get any benefits?
I will make mention that until this is approved, actually, they've already calculated her benefits back to 2001. So her very first retirement benefit distribution will be on the 2001 salary schedule until approved by the board. I'm not actually familiar or prepared at this time to speak to the question. Maybe Director Menke.
I can highlight it on this sheet if you want.
Health allowance payment at the bottom. Look on page 48, please, where it says health allowance payment, 3872.21. In addition to other compensation, et cetera, that first line, which says that we, and my interpretation, it's just not a very clear statement. My interpretation of this, and I believe this is correct, is that we say, if you are taking our health plan, you get paid an additional 3872. And this is on page 48. So this is the very first one to cover part of that, in the same manner, quite frankly, that we cover 3872 for all of our other employees. However, as listed, one could interpret it that we are paying much beyond that. And I want to just make sure I'm clear.
That's our cap.
That's our cap. So we pay up to the cap. In the same manner, we pay up to the cap for everybody.
Right.
Okay.
Do you have a wording recommendation, John, that would make it more clear for you and others?
I do not. I would say if you added the words up to the cap on these, you would be fine. I think it's okay. It does say it's a health allowance and it does give us that cap. But I think if we have to publish in future, one would consider and say we would make a change on that. But I don't need to make a change on this one, just as long as it's clear enough. And this is a schedule, so it is, if you're in a position year 4, you're in column 4 as always. So thanks.
Just thank you real quick, Mr. Jorn, for clarifying that for anyone listening at home, so they don't think we're doing anything fishy here. They understand we're being legitimate. So that's all I have. Student advisory.
All good for me. Thank you.
Trustee Carolyn? Any public comment? Nope. Okay, student advisory vote.
Aye.
Trustees vote.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Can I make a
You
motion?
needed a motion.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
I'll make a motion to approve on staff's recommendation for action discussion D.
Second Carolyn's motion.
We had our student advisory vote. Trustees vote. Aye. Those opposed? It passes 4-0. Moving on to action discussion E, future board calendar and future meetings. Dr. Porras.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are no changes to the calendar at this point, so unless no action is required, unless the board would like to make any recommendations or changes.
Board comments?
None.
Public comment? None? Okay, so since there's no action needed, we will move on to information discussion A, Pacific Grove High School adoption of the standards-based measurement of proficiency, acronym STAMP test to qualify students for the state seal of biliteracy. Director Rogeman.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Buck Rogeman, Director of Curriculum and Special Projects. And I tried to be as thorough as I could in the packet presentation. But I do want to talk just a little bit about the California Seal of Biliteracy and what adopting the STAMP test is going to allow for our students starting this spring. First of all, the state seal of biliteracy was established by the state in 2012 to, as you can read there, encourage the pupils to study languages and attain this certificate. What's the nice thing for our students is once they graduate, if they have this, it's something that can appear on their resumes as they go forward. And it's also going to signify that they've earned a very important skill going forward in life. And so we in the past have had a handful of students that have achieved this seal. And as you heard in the excellent Spanish presentation a few meetings ago, the Spanish, well, the World Language Department really has an interest in expanding this program at the high school and getting as many students as possible this seal of biliteracy when they graduate. And really what that seal is saying is that the students that have it have reached English proficiency and at the same time reached language proficiency in a second language. So in order for a student to earn that seal, the first thing that they need to do, of course, is show that they're proficient in English. And there are two things that they have to do in order to do that. One is to pass all their English language arts classes with a 2.0 grade point average or above. And then also meet the standard or exceed the standard in the CASP testing that we do with the district. The next thing that they have to do in order to earn that seal is a little bit more complicated. Let's see if I can get that out of the way. So what they can do is they can take an AP test at our school. There are two other ways for them to earn that seal through testing, and that's to take the International Baccalaureate exam. Since we don't have an IB program in the district and that's not available to our students, the other thing they could do is sign up to take an SA2 test, an SAT2 test in world languages. And I don't think that too many of our students have tried to avail themselves of that. So by adopting the STAMP test, what we'll be able to do is fulfill the requirement that I just underlined on that slide. And that says to pass a district approved assessment of the same rigor as an AP exam. In the packet, when you read about the STAMP 4S test, the 4S simply means it's 4 subjects. So that's going to be speaking, listening, reading, and writing. There is another pathway that the students can show proficiency in a second language, and that is to complete a 4-year course of study in a world language and demonstrate oral proficiency in the language. Fortunately for us with the STAMP testing, there is also the 1S. And if 4S is 4 subjects, 1S is 1. And that one subject then would be the spoken language. So if they can do the coursework and then pass that spoken language test, that would qualify our students for the California Seal of Biliteracy. There's one more requirement if you are identified as an EL student in the district. EL students must also score 4 on the English language proficiency assessments of California or the LPAC test. So with that, what we would do is no later than 4 weeks before graduation, submit a list of students to the state, and then they would send us back these seals that would go on the diplomas for our students, and hopefully would be able to expand that number of students that have earned the seal in our district. We get a little bit of a discount for the first year. As you'll see on the bottom under the fiscal aspect of the report, it's going to be $19.90 per test. And then moving on in the future, I would anticipate that we'll probably order between 25 to 100 tests, which would put us at that rate of $24.90. So it's a very affordable test. There will be some training provided by STAMP for our teachers who would be administering the exam. And so at this time, I am happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
We'll start at the far right. Trustee Carolyn.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Buck. I have, I guess, 3 questions. So first one, what languages does STAMP certify?
It certifies 15.
Okay.
And I don't know all of them, but they do certify the 2 that we have at the high school, which are Spanish and French.
Perfect answer. Thank you. My second question is actually it's just a comment. I was really proud actually that the district is going to pay for this test. So I really appreciate whatever advocacy happened within the staff to have that, because I feel like that is in line with our district and our board goals. So thank you. And then the only kind of snag that I kind of see, because I can kind of always see like what can go wrong, is do we have anything in writing from the STAMP or the Avant company that specifically says this will fulfill the requirement?
So it's not the requirement of the company. It is the requirement of the district to adopt an exam that meets the standards of rigor that the state calls for.
Yes.
And multiple other schools, numerous schools throughout the state use STAMP. And so they've established that it is accepted.
And we have something in writing from them that says this is in line with what the state wants, because what the state wants has that, it's very open to what we can choose. So I just want to
Sure.
make sure that 6 years later, we're not like, oh no, now they're saying it doesn't qualify.
I can get something in writing. So I don't have it now, but I can communicate with Avant and get something to that effect.
Okay, I think that would be
Sure.
wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Student advisory.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask how many languages, but that was answered. So thank you. No other questions for me.
I just like to first a comment. Thinking about just in a short time, implementing our cultural proficiency program that will for our faculty and staff, that will certainly bleed down to our students, our lower schools starting their Spanish programs, the STAMP test. We are really preparing our students to be global citizens. And I think that everyone in this district needs to recognize that and be proud of that. So well done. My second question is, has anyone ever looked into the IB program? I know Monterey is designated. Would that be something that our district might be interested in?
We have investigated in the past. I think there's some aspects of it that didn't lend itself to going into the IB program. Oftentimes districts will do that when there are multiple schools of that same grade level. So multiple high schools or multiple middle schools. So there's a choice for families between a non-IB or IB program. It just didn't work out in regards to some of those considerations. But the last time we looked at that was several years ago. So we certainly can take a look if the board would like us to move that way.
Possibly. We'll leave that for the future board. Trustee Path.
Thank you, Mr. Rogerman. I have no questions.
Just one point of clarification, and I think the answer to this is yes too. So, but I just want to be sure. So we teach 2 languages, but for example, if a student is sort of already proficient in another language, they could test and get this stamp, and like they speak German at home already and they speak English, and they could still move forward with that, right?
Yes.
Great, of course. right, thank you so
Okay,
much.
You bet.
Great, thank you. Public comment? Okay, so this is an information discussion, so no action is needed. Moving on to information discussion B, Pacific Grove High School course catalog for the 2022-23 school year. And this is presented by Principal Garcia.
So yes, it's already time to start talking about next school year. So what we have in front of you today are the courses that we will be offering next school year. What differs from this course catalog as compared to our current course catalog, as noted in the cover letter, is that we're going to be adding marine science to our science department. So expanding the course offerings there, very excited about that. We will, we also are looking to add to our dual enrollment courses. Those are pending. So we do have some requests into MPC and we're waiting to hear back about that. We've updated our physical education course titles and descriptions, so brought them more into alignment with the California standards. And then throughout the document, as you do every year, when you reread something, you start to make some minor edits and changes to it, but nothing of significance to point out. Okay. So that is our course catalog in a nutshell for our first read.
Wonderful. Board comments, Trustee Brian? Trustee Path?
So briefly, and I talked about this with you before the meeting started, but I'll say it again. This is a much updated item. It is clearly online. There are hyperlinks, which when I press them on paper do nothing, but I know that they exist and I'm excited to see them. I appreciate the role of college, UCs, CSUs, colleges, MPC listed out so cleanly. I appreciate the flow charts that I find throughout. I did see that you have 2 new pathways going forward. We have an engineering pathway, which is new this year.
This year.
And it's, as you said earlier, I think is enrolled and working. Congratulations. And continuing to add to the CTE pathways overall. Congratulations. This looks very promising. I have lots of little things. None of them are really worthy of much, really worthy of questions. We already talked about one, but really, you know, from when I started coming to board meetings in 2009, this is a far cleaner, easier to find, easier to go through. I can tell where I'm going all the way through. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And it definitely is a team effort with Mr. Steinbeck, our entire counseling department, and Miss Houston, my office manager, working to just make the document look the way it is.
Thank you. Looks beautiful. Glad to see the increased dual enrollment, something near and dear to my heart. Well done. That's all I have. Student advisory.
Yeah, it's good expanding the dual enrollment. It's a great opportunity for some kids. And the marine biology or marine science class seems really cool.
Yeah.
So wish I could stick around to see what that's about, but that seems like a really cool class. So.
Well, just a few clicks of the data system, Ray, and I can have you stay another year if you like.
Yeah. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No, okay, we'll scratch that idea for right now. Okay.
I just had one question about the Spanish translation. Is that going to take place after the
Yes.
board approves tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
When
This is
I
the
would think
first
we went for
read.
improvement and improvement.
When it becomes an action item.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When we get there in December for our second read, then we'll send it right off to the translator, just like we
Great.
did last year.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Trustee, I have a different question. It's a little bit of aside from just the catalog. The one thing that sort of feels like it's been missing for me at PGHS is there are 3 basic sciences that I would say if you were going to have APs, you would have AP Bio, AP Chem, AP Physics. And at one point we rotated Chem and Physics a long time ago, I think, and we're not doing that. Is there any for your consideration in future years, is there the possibility of bringing back? Those are the basis for basically certain career paths. And granted, marine science picks up some of that, but not all of it. So
So we do have a
It's not-
rotating for the AP physics. We found that by rotating it, we get more students enrolled in the class rather than offering it every year. We were looking at some numbers, unfortunately below 10, which is difficult to run a class of that size.
Any public comments? No. Okay, that was also just information discussion. It will come back for approval. Moving on to information discussion C already. Future agenda items. Dr. Porras?
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I didn't hear anything this evening that would add to the list that we currently have going right now. We are continuing to work on some of these items. So it's up for the board discussion in terms of how you'd like to proceed.
Trustee Brian?
I'm going to hold off. Maybe next time. I have an idea, but I'm going to wait. Bring it in writing. Okay, yeah. So, right. Yeah, I'm going to hold off. Thank you, though.
you had a request for making sure the skate park discussion was after, and February 23 seems like it'll be after the letter you got earlier. So I think you're good. And are you waiting for something back on PGUSD property and housing?
Yeah, we're still waiting for more information back at this point.
Are the people that are aware you're waiting for it? How's that?
I'm sorry. Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have two. One I want to hold off on, but two, of course, this is, board one if decides to do this. So of course, I'm not going to be here to push this, but would the board consider a review of Facilitron? And the reason why I bring this up is I know it's a program or software that we use to keep track of our facilities, payments, usage. But I think that in some cases it would be helpful to have some human oversight and to say, does this make sense? Is that something that the board feel would be useful to look at? I guess, I mean, you're going to be here.
Fundamentally, you are correct. There is a mix in Facilitron which prevents some of, I think, what it would be our public good and limits. For example, if someone said, I would like to use this facility, this room in particular, for X, Y, or Z, it is suddenly expensive and you have to have insurance. And yet the reason to use it may be completely innocuous and in line with what we want to use it for. And that's very hard to deal with under Facilitron. So as you guys go forward, I don't know the solution. Facilitron is has a system and it works very, very well for lots of things. The stadium it works perfectly for, but smaller things, unless you have somebody who just says, I'll give you the key, which means you're taking away from one's uses. So I agree.
Would the board agree to put this on future agenda items to look at?
Frank, will you clarify when you're talking about Facilitron, are you talking about work orders? Are you talking about facility reservations? Can you expand on that?
Yeah, specifically, I know there, honestly, I don't know its vast use, but I do know that it's been used for the soccer teams, to track what they pay and how they reserve the field. I know that Facilitron is used to calculate how much the WAVE program gets charged in the summer. And you two are going to see coming up before summer that for 2 weeks for our neighborhood children to use this program, this is virtually free. The program pays $10,000. And that's for 2 weeks. It's a
But they
pretty
use
high
19
price.
classrooms. I mean, they use a tremendous amount to do it. So, but
So if that is the result of the discussion, like, yes, we should charge these guys $10,000 and more, whatever. I just think that it deserves human eyes, not just plug and chug in software. Does that answer your question?
Josh, we don't use Facilitron for work orders, correct? We do now? Yeah, okay. We were using something else somewhere along the line.
Yeah, no, it's work order system and event planning system.
Okay, thank you.
think, and I'm familiar with many of the software programs out there, and it's actually one of the better programs available. But I think there's exploring the way that we assign the fee schedule. Those are other items I think would, probably need to be brought back to the board once we do further evaluation.
Yeah,
Mr. President, I think you may be thinking the fee schedule, which is how the schedule that we use to determine what we charge different users for different groups. So the Faciliton is a scheduler, and we base it on what the fee schedule tells us, what it says to charge. If you look on the board budget book that you all receive, and there's a copy of that that's also available online, there's a page that shows the entire fee schedule for all the usage and the user groups for the district. So, the board has asked for us to take a look at reviewing the fee schedule, which would include what fees we charge all levels of groups across the district, including the WAVE, because they have their own special fee schedule that the board had determined. That would may be different than looking at the Facilitron process, the software platform. The fee schedule is how we charge fees and what those fees look like. Is that what you're looking?
I think, yeah, thank you for the clarification. Maybe more specifically looking at how the fee schedule is applied instead of just formula, this room, boom, flat, rate. Maybe there's some human interaction with that. Like, does that make sense for this specific event? So thank you for the clarification. I guess future, help me out.
I'm not opposed to looking at it again. I think we, every few years we should. One of the reasons I think is because in years past, when we've looked at that, or when the public has looked at it, they've said, this is a lot, right? This is for this or that. And then we encounter what we have encountered this year, where it's like, wow, everything is falling apart. The heater, this, whatever the hell it was, right? It's just like this thing broke and this other thing broke and these chemicals are not available and all that stuff. I think just for purposes of shining a light on it is not bad, just to bring it up so that people understand, because I think overall over the years, we've really sort of undercharged for what it costs us to make these facilities available to people. It's like every time you use a room, then somebody has to come in and clean that room.
We're rapidly getting into the actual discussion.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we are. So anyway, yes. Should we talk about it later? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it would come up again. Yes, it's already, we can do that, but we'll put it on, we'll add it to future agendas just so we have it noted there. And we're taking a look at it and.
Already working on it.
So
Okay.
And
And thank
it's in
you,
the spring, we
John, for
typically-
pointing that out.
thank you. And I hope that my concerns is clear to Trustee Carolyn and Trustee Brian moving forward when it does come up.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And then the other thing for future discussion, and again, I just wanted to bring this up. We lost 2 paras in less than a year. And I know that, one of them is going to our, the charter school where he will be receiving his, the acronym is BRT, Behavioral Something Technician Certification, paid for by the charter school for him. And I'm just wondering if the board would be interested in possibly providing some professional development. I know that we have professional development for our faculty and staff. I'm just wondering if that is applicable to our SPED classes, and if we could have some professional development that's directed specifically to our paras to help keep them here. Is that something, Trustee Carolyn and thank you. Director Mankey, please. I'm sorry.
Icon, Billy?
Yes, of course, always supportive of additional professional development, but I do know that Director Davies does do trainings with her paras and specific to the classroom work that they do. So it might be something that we're looking at in addition, something, like what you just mentioned. And maybe we could, see what the charter school is actually doing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that would be worth.
It might be a
looking
totally
at.
different role. I'm just not sure. We might be bringing in a para, training them for that, and then it's not then we're not really having a para anymore.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I know the risk also could be like, hey, pay to get this wonderful certification, and then they leave us. But I think professional development would
And
be a way
actually, and
to.
I don't know if Claire is on, but she's, obviously our expert
Yeah.
on that. So, yeah.
So, and again, for specifically for trustee Caroline and trustee Brian, if you feel it's something worth exploring, professional development specifically for our paras that might not be offered when we do district-wide training for faculty. Yeah, future agenda item. And at that time, you could shoot it down, but just to look at it, I would appreciate it.
Happy to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, I just hesitate in, I'm trying to bring that back to policy because we're policymakers. So I don't want to get too specific. What I'm thinking is, do we want to review a policy related to growing our own, supporting our own into their current positions or further positions, something like that? It would be for me like more of a policy review. John Paff, you're nodding. Did you have something you want?
That's exactly right. You go down a very slippery slope if you say we're going to provide for employee X, Y, and Z, if you are not going into providing for everybody else in the same manner, because PD, if you're looking for certification for something, now you're across the board, right? And so it gets trickier than that. And it is a policy and it is a question of what is our PD.
Yeah, and is staff requesting that? I don't know if there's also kind of the not that it's a union kind of ask, but to me, it almost borders into negotiations a little bit too. So I don't know.
We can do, if you like, perhaps maybe what we can do is take a look at a discussion with Director Davies and Director Mankey in terms of just a presentation or review of what we currently have in place. And then that way we can just, at least it's just simply a presentation. This is what's in place in regards to professional development for our staff. And then that could lead us to a discussion as to whether or not we want to move towards a policy shift or addition to policy. But if we do a status check, that's certainly a report that we can take a look at.
Wonderful. That'd be nice. Thank you very much. And thank you, Trustee Caroline, for reminding us why we are here. Moving on, any other? No. Is that it? Yes, and then that is the end. Oh, public comment on future agenda items, none. Okay, then we are done, 7:52.